Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Highlander History here. Today, we are fortunate, and I am very honored to have Rich Melillo here as our guest today. Rich was the longtime great Somerville High boys basketball coach. Rich, thank you so much for spending a little time with us today.
It's an honor for me. I was touched that you guys called and asked if I would speak, and it's Somerville. How can you say no?
Rich, I'm going to start off with the first question that I know everybody would like to know is just, tell us about when you first became the head basketball coach at Somerville High School and what that process kind of looked like.
Sure. It was really interesting. I was the head basketball coach at Fitchburg State College. I was the youngest head coach in New England, and I inherited a 4-22 team, and we took it in 4 years to winning the MASCAC conference and making the NCAAs. And I had delusions of grandeur. I thought I was going to be the next, big-time college coach. And when I really started thinking about it, and I heard the Somerville High job was over, my mentor, Jerry Knight, had decided to step down. It was a big decision for me. And some of my friends in the community said, "Oh, you got to plan for it." And I put in for the job, and I knew that there was a lot of competition, a lot of good people who were going to apply for this job. But I really wasn't sure at that time whether I wanted to be a college coach or a high school coach. As soon as I came back to Somerville and felt it again, I knew I wanted I just knew I wanted to come home. I wanted to come home and just be in the gym and see what I could do here. So it was really interesting, and it was kind of fate for me. I got very lucky, very, very fortunate.
And Rich, just for a timeline standpoint, so people know, can you tell us the exact years you coached Somerville High School?
Sure. 1985 to 2004. And I took 1 year. 1 year I had a leave. My dad was very sick with cancer, and I took some time to be with him. But I coached 18 years at Somerville High School.
It's amazing.
It really is. The tournament like 13 or 14 times. Coaching Somerville High was just wonderful for me. It was a blessing.
I've known a lot of players that are playing under you, Coach Melillo, and I know how highly they speak of you, not just on the court, but off the court. So, and I know, we all know that, high school coaches are all part-time coaches, but tell me, even though it was a part-time job, did it really feel like a full-time job for you?
Coaching basketball at Somerville High was never a part-time job for me. It was a way of life. It was what we did. It was who I was. Was part of my family. Kids knew it. We try to develop a culture, and I know you always hear coaches talk about family, developing family. But at the time, we really tried to develop a family environment where, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And I can walk in there and be with all the knowledge about basketball, but they're not going to listen until they know how much you care about. So we built a year-round program for them, and the first thing we did was we brought the Y into the fold, the Summer YMCA, under the direction of Billy Murphy, and we gave the kids a place to go during the year, a safe place where good things happened, and we put our thumbprint on it from Summer High. It was ours, and to this day, the Summer YMCA is still Summer High basketball. That's you. In my mind, you can't say Summer High basketball without saying Summer YMCA. All of my former players, they grew up out of the Somerville YMCA to play for Somerville High. And we went year round. We went and played in a spring league, a summer league, and a fall league in the season. We played probably 35, 40 games out of season every single year. And it was a lot of fun. And it gave kids things to do during the time, and it gave them focus on if they want to get better at their game. And it was a fun thing. And it developed into a camaraderie with our teams. I know one of your questions is about program, but one of the best things we do is we started in the 6th grade, and we built the tradition program. We founded the tradition program, which is still in existence today. And we have a rule, and if you ask any of my kids, They owe the program. They don't owe me. They owe the program. What they owe the program is, if you're in the 12th to 11th, 12th grade, you ought to give back to the 6th and 7th graders. And that's how we did it. If we had a dinner, the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade came to it. If we had an event, they were invited. They knew they could. We went to all their practices after our practice, and which made for long days, but they knew who we were. They knew what we were about and what we expected from them. And that was to be a good role model in the city, to represent themselves well. If you're going to wear the Somerville jersey, you had to be part of it. There was certain behaviors that we expected.
Everybody that I know that played underneath you, two of the words that always come back time and time again are family and tradition. It's two of the things that they always, focus on and always say under Coach Melillo. Those are two things that we really learned a lot. And I truly see it as you're speaking. I know over your illustrious career, you had probably a million memories, some that stand out, some highs, maybe some, who knows, some lows. But just for our conversation today, is there one or two moments that kind of really stand out to you as, wow, this is something I'll never forget?
Well, I coach in over 350 games, so it's a lot of games to coach in. And always playing Cambridge was special. I got to be honest with you. That was a different element. As you know, they weren't in the old Greater Boston League, and then they came into our league later, and they were, they had the bullseye on their back. They were the biggest school, and they had the great tradition like we had. And we had my one high is, we played Cambridge at Cambridge, packed gym, and we both come in with big records, like I think we were all like, 12-2 or something like that. And we beat them by 30 at their gym. Wow. And that was unbelievable. And that was the game that, if you ever talk to kids, Gosner Cherilus, who played in the NFL, who couldn't dribble a basketball 5 dribbles in a row, dribbled 4 dribbles the length of the court and dunked it at Cambridge. And I think he surprised himself. And then the low was we were up 1 at Cambridge, and Cambridge scored a basket at the buzzer in the state tournament, and that was probably the low. But you know what the real memories are? I know this again is going to sound a little honest to God. I loved practice, and the memories are teaching kids in practice. I would rather practice than play the games. And the memories are, at the end of practice, we had a rule. We always had to leave with a smile. No matter how bad it was, if we lost 2 games in a row or whatever happened, we would do a fun event. And that could be a 3-point shooting contest. It could be we clean the floor for the janitors, which I'd probably get in trouble for saying. We clean the floor with locking arms and pull each other down the floor, and a lot of team building stuff. And if you get on a kid a little bit, you got to give him a hug before he leaves, because when they leave that gym, you don't know what they're going home to. A lot of kids had great places to go, some not so great. But you have to understand that. And kids need to love basketball, enjoy it, and make it a lot of fun for them, and be challenged at the same time. So it has to be balanced,
I can only imagine how many faces came in and out of your life while you were coaching, both players and coaches. Have you stayed connected to players and coaches over the years? People that you were, kind of a big part of your life during those years.
I mean, we have guys like Chris Harvey, who played for me in my early years. He's coaching at Salem State. And we have guys like Paul Williams, who played for me in the middle, is coaching up at Riviera. I have a lot of guys, Stevie Celestin's coaching. And I still stay in touch with so many guys. The other night, I'm lying in bed, and I got a text at 10 o'clock at night. Coach, I just had a baby boy. And it was a young guy who's, 34 years old. You get that random text. It's unreal. And I've been to a bunch of weddings, my wife and I, and it was part of my life. It was my life, and it was my kids' life as well. One memory I have is I had the whole team over my house for dinner. I lived in a 2-family house, and I owned this duplex, and my wife made chicken parm and chicken parmesan, and all the kids knew that, when chicken parm was happening. So we had the whole team over my house, and I come home. I had to go do an errand before they were at my house already. And I come home, and in the middle of the street, my son Jared, who played college hockey and it was a real good basketball player too. There's a street hockey game in front of my house with the Somerville High basketball team, and it was unbelievable just to see that, and it just, there's so many positive memories, and all of it comes from family, like that environment where kids want to be with you. Whenever I went scouting, the memories were, Coach, can we come? And they knew I'd feed them. They knew we'd go to Burger King or something. They loved the scout games with me, and there'd be 4 or 5 of them packed in the car. We just did it. And it was just those kind of memories, developing the relationships with these young people. As you know, I'm very proud of our players. We focused on books and ball a lot, and grades were important. And we currently have Leslie Latte, who was my point guard years ago in my early years, is the vice principal of the Healy School now. And Stevie Celestin, who was the point guard probably 8 years later, was the dean of students at Healy School. I have so many great players, great kids, and I was very lucky. I'll be honest with you. I lived a charmed life, man. Coaching Somerville High was a great thing for me. And I'm glad I didn't go the college route because I would have missed so much.
Back when I tried out for the Somerville High basketball team, I wasn't very good. So the second day I was cut. But the one thing I don't think I shared with you is after I was cut, I was sad. I was like, geez, I didn't make a team. But I remember you didn't know me. You didn't know me from anywhere. You grabbed me before I left and said, hey, I expect to see you back here next year. And here's some of the things you need to work on to make the team. Like, you didn't have to do that. So I always thought that, I always appreciated that. Like, I was just some kid who tried out, and I was there for 2 days, but I appreciate you telling me that. And I tell you what, although I didn't try for the team the following year, I ended up finding track, but I did go to Trum Field for the next week during the winter and shoveled out spots like you and I talked about. And yeah, I tell you, I worked hard. So it was, I always appreciated what you told me. I'm going to finish, Coach, with this question because you've seen so many kids off through graduation and kind of the next chapter of their lives. If you could offer some advice to all of our graduating student athletes, our seniors who are going off to the next chapter of their lives, what advice would you give them?
Well, I'd like to believe that coming out of Somerville High, you have some positive skill sets that you've developed through the years, because I believe Somerville High is a great place to get an education. I'm not saying that I'm not here anymore. I'm retired from Somerville. I just think it's a great place to get an education. And if you can combine your academics and your athletic skills, I always believe there's a place for you somewhere if you decide to play collegiately. Yeah. And it's just getting finding the right school. There's a misnomer out there that kids believe that if you don't go to a Division I school, that you're not a good athlete, or that I'll just play Division III. Playing Division III is not a rite of passage. It's an honor, and you have to be good, real good. And you find out real quick when you go there that when you try out for a Division III basketball team, such as a place like, I'll use Salem State or Fitchburg State or Tufts University where my son went, or WPI, once you get there, every single kid is an all-star. Every kid's an all-scholastic or an all-star in their own right, and they're great players. So I guess if I was going to offer any advice, I'd prefer to offer the advice of any young people listening is, if you stay focused and really work hard, good things will happen. You need some encouragement, but you just need to stay focused, keep your grades up, and keep your athletic skills moving forward, progressing. And if you do that, you can't determine in the 7th, 8th, 9th grade who's going to be the starting point guard in the 11th grade. It's not to be determined. 7th grade's great, 8th grade's great, but kids get better, and kids improve, kids stay focused, kids are driven, and there's a lot of opportunity out there for someone who's driven. I can tell you that.
Rich, it's been an honor. I'm so happy that people in Somerville are both either connecting with you or reconnecting, and they're able to see you. And I know this time of COVID, it's hard to keep our connections, alive, so to speak. And I'm really happy people are able to see how you're doing and share some history with you and share some of your past. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me.
Thank you. This was fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
And very honored and very excited to be here with Chi Che, who graduated Somerville High School 2010. Who was here from 06 to 2010 and had a major impact, not just as a student, but also as an athlete, as a boys basketball player at the time. So, Chi, thank you so much for being here with us and spending a little time with us.
For sure. Happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, of course. I'll start off the questions with the usual question I ask everybody, and probably the most important question is, tell us about your experience as a student here at Somerville High School, but in particular as a student athlete.
For sure, yeah. So I was primarily a basketball player. Started, early on in my career, playing in, youth leagues in Somerville, whether it was someone's tradition, basketball, little league, and then got to high school and was strictly basketball. So I played for Coach Antonelli, Coach Desmond for my freshman year, and then moved on to Coach Antonelli after that. Played. Was in varsity starting my junior year and had a great experience under Coach Antonelli. He's a really great coach. Had a great experience with my teammates, formed a lot of lifelong bonds there, and being captain my senior year, which was a great experience as well. So I love Somerville. I love Somerville High School, and especially the experience being a student athlete was a really valuable experience for me. So,
and it's amazing. It's so consistent when you hear kind of the skills that you learn being a student athlete, right? The structure, the discipline, the work ethic, the camaraderie with your team, working on goals, it all is pretty consistent. It's amazing how much you can that translates into kind of your work life and your other parts of your life, right?
Definitely. I would say, there's just two broad kind of themes or things that I took away from my experience as a student athlete. One was, being accountable, and the other one was being, mentally tough. And being accountable, there's kind of two things underneath that kind of theme. And one is like being accountable to, yourself, whether that's, you, some kind of the simple things like you showing up on time, you showing up with, a good attitude and a good effort, to practices and games. But it's also, being accountable, to your teammates, which is an important thing, making sure that, you're supporting one another and, you're, making sure the team is rising as a whole. So, you're also being accountable in terms of being a positive and supportive teammate, but also, being mentally tough. A lot of kids think that's, kind of like a hard thing to do, but, I think of it more as like, you're not, when things are going tough, you're not really quitting. You're able to battle through adversity, handle adversity. I feel like at least during my time, a lot of kids, or these things get tough, or things are not going your way. There's a tendency to pout or cry about a certain situation. But I learned that I have to keep going and maintain a positive attitude in a fight through a difficult situation. But mentally tough is also being accountable and doing the things the right way. I've learned, during my professional life, one of my bosses had a really good quote for me, and it was, it's hard to do things the right way, easy to do things the wrong way. So what does that mean? It means, it's easy to take shortcuts, but it's hard sometimes to do the thing the right way. And in terms of us being a student athlete, it's hard to show up on time, and it's hard to wake up in the mornings and go to school on times, or like even during practices. It's easy to remember doing suicides, running suicides for Coach Antonelli. It's easy to not go all the way to the end and touch the line. It's easy to do that, but to be mentally tough, you have to kind of do things the right way, and that means doing the drills right, doing the practices at full effort. And so that's kind of the skill I've learned there. And one last thing is, how to accept feedback in coaching is, for me, that's being mentally tough. A lot of kids, at least me, including me early on in my career, it's hard to, being able to receive feedback, especially from a coach who you think is being hard on you. And there's a tendency to want to say like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't want to, screw this guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But you learn in your career that accepting feedback and being open to feedback is crucial to improving your approach, improving what you do, and it makes you better. And so being acceptable to coaching and feedback is something that you learn as a student athlete, and it's something that has proved served dividends for me in my professional career. So.
Great. That's great. I always say one of the greatest skills that our students can learn, especially at the high school level, playing high school sports, is dealing with adversity, right? Like there's nothing better than being put in an uncomfortable environment and trying to figure it out. It's a wonderful life skill. It really is.
Yeah.
Going back to your time at the high school here, particularly playing basketball, I'm sure you had multiple situations where you had great memories and great times. Is there any one moment or one game that kind of stands out to you that was super impactful to you?
That's when I look back on my kind of 4 years there, it's no one particular experience stood out. It was just a culmination of the experiences I had with my teammates, kind of the bonds we formed there, the practices we've had, the long bus rides we took to road games, road trips. The blood, sweat, and tears that you shared with your teammates, and you kind of form those lifelong bonds, with people that you grew up with sometimes since kindergartens, and really the formative years of your life. And no amount of points that I scored or no game-winning shots could replace that experience that I've had, with my teammates in high school. And I always, I told my little brother this, and the kids I've coached in Somerville tradition that, that's why you should always enjoy these experiences, because in 10 years, you're not going to remember, how many points you scored against Medford or Cambridge, or, what the game-winning shot you took, in the championship game or something like that. You're going to remember the experience you had, the bonds you formed with your teammates, and those are invaluable, and when you get older, and those are something that you cherish and you think about, and share with your kids. And so I can't even remember the things I did and how many points I scored or like the shots I've made in my high school career, but I vividly remember like the good times I've had with my teammates, the bonds I formed there, and the good experience I've had with my coaches and the things I've learned from them. So no one particular experience. It's just a culmination of good feelings and positive memories I've had with, lifelong friends that I consider friends to this day. So.
It's a great answer. Thank you. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing today professionally.
Yeah, so I'm currently in a grad school program, getting my MBA, Masters of Business Administration at Dartmouth in New Hampshire. So I was working in finance previous to that for the MBTA, obviously the great public transit system in the greater Boston area, doing finance work. And I did that for about 3 years, and then wanted to do a full-time Masters of Business Administration program. And so I'm in that program now here in Dartmouth College in New Hampshire.
Congratulations. And how was, I saw that you attended Georgetown. Tell us quickly, how was that experience?
Oh, it's a great experience. It's a great school, obviously, and great academic program. But it's kind of a smaller size school, and so in Washington D.C. So smaller size, was able to establish a lot of great connections with very very smart people, and establish intimate connections with professors as well. But being in D.C. Was a great experience as well. It's a very multicultural, diverse city with a lot of opportunities there, and was a great 4 years. Exploring the city, establishing new friends, new connections, and yeah, it was good basketball school. I wasn't a basketball player there, but was tied to kind of like the sports excitement there. So it was a great experience for me.
That's great. That's great. And there's so much, as you know, so much history at
Yeah.
Georgetown with their basketball program and everything else. It looks like you're still keeping yourself in tip-top shape. So tell me, are you still playing sports today? What are you doing to kind of keep active and to
Sure.
hopefully take away some of the stress from COVID and everything else going on these days?
Yeah. So I don't play basketball anymore. I haven't touched a basketball since in like seemingly forever, like 6 years. So basketball's not really my thing anymore. I'm more of a long distance runner now. That's kind of what has been my stress reliever for large parts of my adult life. I've ran about 2 marathons, and so that's long distance running. I think it's what keeps me going, and it's good for my mental health as well. And I kind of consider it as a battle, with my mind and my body, and it's kind of a drive that I enjoy the constant wear and tear. But I kind of what drew me to it was kind of that kind of just battle with. It's a testament to your will, your drive, your internal drive, and so long distance running has been my thing for some time now, and I really enjoy it. So.
Are you still connected to your old teammates, your old high school friends? Like, is there still a connection in some way, shape, or form?
For sure. I talk to Coach Antonelli all the time. He's a lifelong mentor to me and great guy. And yeah, my teammates, I've had good connections with them as well. And whenever I go back to Somerville, I always make sure I create some time to spend with those guys. And yeah, it's formed lifelong bonds in my high school career that is still established to this day. So.
It's always very nice to connect with or stay connected with your high school friends. It's particularly special when you have it with your teammates, right? There's a bond that's almost hard to describe. Truly
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
honestly, for
yeah.
sure. Regarding you potentially, hopefully offering some words of wisdom to our Somerville High School student athletes, particularly our seniors who are looking to graduate, looking to kind of pave a road for themselves, whether it be go to college or the next chapter in their lives. If I had you in our auditorium and you were standing in front of 300 student athletes at Somerville High School, what advice would you offer them as they kind of embark on that next chapter?
Yeah, so I think two things. One would be this is something that piece of advice that I received during my time at high school was, get comfortable being uncomfortable. I remember being in the auditorium at Somerville High School, and it was some like seminar at the end of the year, and we were all packed in the auditorium, and they had the speaker up on the stage, and I remember vividly one of the things he was telling us about how to succeed in the professional world after high school, and he said get comfortable being uncomfortable. So what does that mean? It means get comfortable being outside your bubble of familiarity. Get comfortable pushing yourself outside of what what's familiar to you. And so what does that mean? Try new things. Meet new friends, go travel, experience the world. I think you learn a lot about yourself when you're pushed outside of your comfort zone, and you learn a lot about how to handle those situations. You learn a lot about yourself in terms of you being resourceful, the skills that you have, and you build the skills and the capabilities when you are away from things that are familiar to you, and you learn how to be adaptable and resourceful in new environments, which is a critical skill that I feel like any person will need when they navigate the wild west of adulthood. So that's one thing. But life is all about trade-offs. Whether that's in high school, going and hanging out with your friends, or doing or studying for a test, or doing your homework, or waking up on time to make it to class on time, or waking up on time to get to work on time, or hitting the snooze button and getting that extra 30 minutes of sleep. Life's all about trade-offs, and so it takes some discipline to kind of make the right decisions. And lastly, just to have fun, be true to yourself and what you want to achieve in past high school, and go after it. Don't let anybody to kind of block your path or tell you aren't good or capable enough. Continue to trust your stuff, trust your capabilities, and go after it.
Listen, one of the main reasons we really wanted to do these interviews was not just to honor our past, but to also honor the accomplishments of our alums, who have done so much and really set the foundation for future student athletes, and really set the foundation for building a new school, right? And everything that goes along with it. So I'm so appreciative again of you spending a little time with us today and reconnecting with you and myself and back into our community. And I'm hoping, She, that once our school is fully built, once we're past on the other side of COVID, I hope you'll come back and allow us to honor you the appropriate way. Thank you so much for coming well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it. Yeah. I love Somerville. It's my home. My family is still there, so it has a special place in my heart. And so anything that I can do to give back to Somerville, I'm always about it. So thank you for having me on, and thank you for the kind words as well.
Truly an honor. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Stanley. Have a good one.